Welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University, School of Tourism and Hospitality Service Management, SOTHSM. Master of Tourism. Role of information in the control process. The uses of earnings information and uses of information contained in balance sheet. 3.1 Introduction. As you have observed in Unit I, historically, accounting developed as a system for reporting information to the owners, including shareholders and other investors of the business. In the process of its evolution, accounting has branched off into two distinct directions, one dealing with information processing for external uses and the other dealing with information processing for internal or managerial uses. We refer to the first one as financial accounting and the second as managerial accounting. But when we talk about accounting information, we generally look at it in a broader sense to encompass information processing for both internal and external uses. In this unit we shall deal with some illustrative uses of accounting information so as to give you a feel of what accounting could contribute. 3.2 Purposes of accounting information. At the outset, let us share with you that accounting information is useful for 1. Scorekeeping, 2. Attention directing, and 3. Problem solving. Let us ask a question. What precise information should the accountant provide for these purposes? Obviously, the type coverage of information needed may vary from organization to organization. Further, the specific information needs in the actual decision-making process at different organizational levels influence the scope of an accounting information system. Scorekeeping. The scorekeeping function is one of the primary purposes of accounting information. It basically deals with the financial health of the enterprise. In other words, it answers, how are we doing? Good, bad, or indifferent? Though it appears to be a simple question, a moment's reflection will show that it is not that simple. It involves answering questions such as, what is doing good? What is doing bad? Is profit earned good? If so, how much? Is it that profit alone is not sufficient? Thus we can go on increasing the string of questions intending to further clarify the basic question. Thus, scorekeeping has two aspects. One is that of keeping record of actual data on performance, a constant process of measurement and valuation. The other aspect is concerned with putting the data in relation to predetermined standards. In order to answer the question whether the performance is good, bad, or indifferent, we have to have a constant process of comparison against some norms, standards, or benchmarks. This is achieved by preparing a series of reports based on comparison of actual data with the planned data. Attention directing. Attention directing is nothing but the process of giving a signal to the user of accounting information about the need to take a decision. As such, the accounting information supplied arouses the user's attention to take a decision. For example, a report from an accountant comparing the actual performance data against budget data is a scorekeeping record. In the hands of a decision maker, it is an attention directing information. This would enable him to immediately focus his attention on the deviations or variances from the budgets or the plans. A whole series of actions will be triggered by this, namely, evaluation of reasons for the deviation, remedial actions to be taken, modifications in the feedback for future, and so on. Most of the formal reporting takes the form of annual reports. An annual report is the score card of activities for an accounting period. If properly analyzed, this report can be helpful in understanding the problems of overall nature faced by the enterprise. It can also help the shareholders in assessing the actual performance of the company vis-a-vis their expectations. Problem solving. The problem-solving function of accounting information involves provision of such information which enables the manager to find solutions to the problems. There are many problems which accounting information could highlight and provide for their possible solutions, such as make or buy decision with respect to component, parts or products, continue or drop decisions with respect to product lines. leasing or acquisition decisions with respect to assets etc. Problem solving is, therefore, an important purpose of accounting information system. Let us summarize the purposes of accounting information. Accounting, in its scorecard role, accumulates data and enables interested persons, both internal and external, to understand and take stock of the organization's performance. In its attention-directing role, accounting information, by reporting and analyzing the data, focuses a manager's attention on operational deficiencies, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities. In this role, accounting complements day-to-day operational planning and control activities. In its problem-solving role, accounting enables quantification of the different alternative solutions, their relative merits and demerits. 3.3 Accounting and Control in Organization. In this course we shall deal with financial and management accounting together. You probably know that both these branches of accounting, after all, are concerned with providing information about the same business. One of the tasks of the management is to control the operations of the organization. Accounting is closely connected with control system in an organization. To understand this, let us have a look at the control system in an organization as shown in figure 3.1. You know that the organization is a system of interrelated parts and is linked with the environment. It derives its inputs from the environment and transforms them with the help of the operating system into outputs which it delivers to the environment. 2. Control organizational system. We have first to measure inputs, operations and outputs. The measurements obtained have to be evaluated against standards. This information has to be supplied to the concerned managers so that they could take appropriate actions from future point of view. In all these activities, i.e., measuring, evaluating and providing feedback, the accountant is deeply involved. The process of evaluation brings out deviations which provide the basis for feedback in a system and lead to changes in inputs for operations to achieve desired outputs. Look at the screen. Figure 3.1 Structure of control in an organization. The annual accounts or financial statements of a business comprise balance sheet and profit and loss account. Sometimes they also include the fund flow statement. 42. Accounting framework. All these statements have only historical significance since they relate to an accounting period which has already expired. However, balance sheet and profit and loss account provide valuable information linking the profit to investment or assets used in business. We try to measure organizational performance using this information. The idea of relating profit to asset use can provide a basis for judgment about the efficiency of an organization. As business often operates in an environment of uncertainty, estimation of "normal" profit is not easy. By making the best use of accounting information of the past in relation to the expectations of future, we try to make integrated financial plan for an organization. Such plan includes projections about level of activity, resource, profit, financial assets, and car resources. From figure 3.1 it is obvious that controller, or accountant, and managers obtain such information which enables them to diagnose the situation and to identify and define the problem at hand. Let us try to identify and define a problem in a hypothetical setting. Suppose you are managing a firm which sells 3 products P1, P2, P3. You are confronted with a problem that the profit of your firm is decreasing. Now, falling profit may be due to many reasons. The first thing that you would like to do is to identify the problem more precisely before you set about solving it. Some of the possible hypotheses are: which of the 3 products is losing money? Are all of them losing money? If all of them are losing money, are they losing money to the same extent? Is the firm losing money due to increasing cost or decreasing prices? Many such questions would enable you in diagnosing the problem more accurately. In general, such questions enable a manager to specify the causes of the problem. Let us examine how the accounting information could be helpful in identifying a Problem of this nature. The following table is the summarized profit and loss account of a firm whose situation has been described above. Look at the screen. From the above, it is clear that in 1 year the profit has declined by 100 rupees. An examination of the profit and loss account would show that sales have remained the same, and all expenses other than the cost of goods sold have also remained the same. We are now in a position to state the problem thus. Problem: decrease in profits during the period has come about as a result of overall increase in the cost of goods sold. If the organization was dealing with a single product, the problem is easily identifiable. But as it is dealing with 3 products, you have to answer the question, which product is losing money? The product-wise accounting information with respect to sales and costs can help us in identifying the problem better. Please recall that other costs which are common to all the products did not change. With the above additional information on different products, you can now redefine the problem more precisely. Problem: 1. Sales of P1 and P have increased. Cost of sales retains the same. Relationship with sales. 2. Sales of P3 had decreased. Cost of sales in relation to sales had doubled. What we have done is nothing but a very simple use of accounting information to pinpoint the problem so that we could initiate action. 3.4 Profit and cash balance. Distinguished. How do we evaluate the results of a firm? The answers could be many depending on what your interests are, but there is no difference of opinion regarding 2 important aspects. 1. 2. What is the worth of the business? How much does it earn? The results of these 2 inquiries usually become the basis for several decisions of the management and their action plans. The initiatives the management takes in connection with improving the profitability of the enterprise and its worth will, in a large measure, be a reflection of managerial effectiveness. Illustration: Shyam decided to start a small casting and machine shop. He undertakes job orders for castings. He hired a shop floor with a backyard, bought the necessary equipment, and hired a few workers. Shyam, though he had very successful operation during the first year, because he was engaged throughout the year, he tried to prepare his accounts and discovered that his collection from customers was 24,000 rupees and he had borrowed Rs 30,000 from the bank. He had spent Rs 72,000 for running the business. He had run down his savings substantially. Exhibit 3.1. Shyam discussed the situation with his friend who is a graduate student of management. He worked out Shyam's operating results for the period. Exhibit 3.2. Exhibit 3.1. Shyam Enterprises. Summary of cash transactions. Look at the screen. Shyam's friend, with the help of Exhibit 3.2, could convince Shyam that the situation not very bad. For proper appreciation of the situation, he gathered several pieces of 44. Accounting framework. Information, as given below. 1. He made sales of 36,000 rupees, at selling price, 1/3 of it, 12,000 rupees, is yet be collected. In other words, on an average 4 months sales remain uncollected. 2. Even though he purchased materials worth Rs 36,000, he consumed only 1/2 of it for production and sales. In other words, materials sufficient for 1 year consumption remain in inventory. 3. Cash generation during the year was 54,000 rupees, whereas the need for payment amounted to Rs 72,000. Exhibit 3.2. Shyam Enterprises. Operating summary. Look at the screen. Exhibit 3.2 is based on the additional information presented above and shows that Shyam has made a profit of 2,000 rupees on sales of 36,000 rupees. You will appreciate that there is a fundamental difference in approach and utility of information contained in the 2 exhibits. While Exhibit 3.1 looks at the problem purely from the viewpoint A, increases and decreased in cash, Exhibit 3.2 summarizes all the revenues and expensed which belong to the period of 1 year, irrespective of whether or not all the revenues have been received in cash and whether or not all the expenses have been paid. In cash, in fact, in doing so we are making practical use of accrual concept discussed in the preceding unit, and principles of revenue recognition discussed in Unit 5. You may note that cash balance is not synonymous with net profit earned by the business. A business firm might have earned a profit and still be short of cash, and vice versa. In this particular example, you have seen that the business has earned a profit of 2000 rupees but without cash balance showing any surplus. In fact, payments, as shown in Exhibit 3.1, have far exceeded in receipts. The excess of payments over receipts amounted to 18,000 rupees, and this deficit was financed through the personal savings of Shyam. Since payments can never be more than receipts, the deficit must have been made good through Shyam's personal sources. This subject will be further expanded in Unit 6 dealing with funds flow and cash flow analysis. 3.5 Uses of earnings information. The earnings information is useful for 1. Measuring accomplishment, 2. Deciding how much could be withdrawn from the business without impairing its current level of operations, 3. Identifying the problems, and 4. Determining a market value for the enterprise. Accomplishments. Profit is an important indicator of the accomplishment of business. Other things remaining the same, higher the profits, greater is the accomplishment. Accomplishment of Shyam's enterprise can be summarized as follows. It has earned a net profit of 2000 rupees during the year, Exhibit 3.2. At the same time, it should be seen from Exhibit 3.1 that there is a severe cash constraint. Understandably, it was the startup situation which might have been responsible for the cash constraint. The profit earned in the very first year of operations shows that the business could be viable, but Shyam will have to predict several aspects such as whether sales can increase, whether costs remain the same, whether the earnings rate remains the same, and so on. At the same time, he will have to ensure better management of his cash resources. Appropriation decision, an important question with which owners of a business are often confronted, is how much money can be withdrawn without impairing its current level of operations. This question in fact is concerned with appropriation decision. A prudent management would not only like to maintain the capital or the present capability of the enterprise intact but would also plan for future growth. The maximum amount that the owners can withdraw from business for their personal expenses should be limited to the amount of earnings which remain after making good all the resources that have been used or consumed in the process of generating those earnings. In other words, it is the net profit after charging depreciation and all other losses incurred in the course of business operations that is available to the owners for withdrawal, provided the business has no tax liability. In case the business has tax liability, the amount that can be withdrawn will be reduced by the estimated amount of tax liability. Thus, the remainder is the amount which is available for withdrawal without impairing its current level of operations. However, if business has any plan for future growth, the amount available for withdrawal by or distribution among owners shall be further reduced by a portion of profit or cash needed for future growth depending upon the judgment of the management. In this context, the withdrawal by Shyam of 15,000 rupees against a profit of 2,000 rupees cannot be defended. Problem identification using earnings data. From the earnings data, several problem areas can be identified. This is best done by computing ratios, i.e., by examining the relationship of one item of earnings statement with another item. This will be taken up in details in a subsequent unit. At this stage, it may only be stated that the lower earnings may be on accounts of excessive cost of inputs, excessive expenditure on overheads, or low margin of profit on sales, or excessive piling of inventories or other unanticipated losses. Insofar as Shyam's enterprise is concerned, we can identify two problems even from the very limited data that we have regarding his business. They are the inventory acquisition was not in tune with production and sales. This has led to large amount of accumulated inventory to the tune of 1 year's consumption. Credit granted to customers, shown by credit sales, amounts to 4 months. Sales. This shows either grant of credit on liberal terms or slow collection of receivables. However, an analysis of operating summary along with cash summary will show that the business is facing a cash crisis since the present cash needs and cash availability are not in tune with each other. Determining the market value of a firm, you will recall that we have viewed the business as a distinct operating entity. The economic value of the firm is determined by the size and reliability of the stream of earnings, cash flows, produced by the business. Let us attempt the valuation of a hypothetical firm, Bharat KitchenAids, which was incorporated as a company in 1998 by 4 non-resident young Indians to market a simple but revolutionary cooking gas lighter invented by one of its founders. In order to conserve its limited capital, the company opened its business in rented premises with 80,000 rupees worth of equipment used mainly for research and development work. Arrangements were made with an established manufacturer to make the gas lighter on order under rigid supervision of one of the members of the young team. Because the gas lighter was able to meet a long-felt need, the company reported a modest profit in its very first year of operations. The 4-man team was remarkably well balanced, combining talents in engineering, research, marketing and management. In the next 2 years they developed 3 more appliances that were well received in the market. By 2003 the turnover had grown to about Rs. crore and net profit amounted to 14 lakh rupees. At this point the total investment, or equity, of the owners amounted to 32 lakh rupees. Annual earnings, therefore, represented an after-tax rate of return of approximately 44% of the equity. The high return could be attributed to using the facilities of other manufacturers rather than building their own, the patents that the company registered and the scientific and managerial skill the team possessed. An interesting development then took place. A large manufacturer in the household goods sector wanted to acquire the company and offered the owners a very attractive price. The 4 owners wanted to consider the offer and make a decision, but asked for a few weeks' time to make up their mind. The owners knew that they had established a solid position in the industry and had no doubt that they would be able to maintain this position. They, however, felt that the potential for further growth was limited. They drew very good salaries which they would continue to enjoy even if they were to sell the business. To work how much equity in the Bharat KitchenAids was worth to them so that they could take a decision on the price offered, the 4 men started by forecasting the company's future profits or cash flows. We shall assume here that the figures of profits and cash flows are the same. They believed that the net profit would continue to be around 14 lakh rupees each year for the next 10 years. Further, if they did not sell out in 2004, they could sell their interest in business, that is their equity, 19 years later for about 50 lakh rupees. In accordance with these estimates, the anticipated net earnings from continued ownership would be as follows. Year earnings, 1 to 10 14 lakhs a year. 10 50 lakhs. You know that money has time value. You attach more value to an amount to be received now than the one to be received, say, a year or 2 later. 14 lakh rupees of profit to be received in the second year will be of lesser value to you than Rs. 14 lakhs to be received in the first year. Similarly, 14 lakh rupees to be received in the third year will be of lesser value to you than 14 lakh rupees to be received in the second year, and so on. In other words, the value of amounts to be received in future will progressively decline as time passes by. The process of reducing the future earnings to present values is known as discounting, but for this purpose a discounting rate is required. The discounting rate is nothing but the return which the owners desire to earn on their investment. The desired rate of return in a way is a rate of return which satisfies the owners of investment. The owners in this case thought that the rate of 15% after taxes was a satisfactory return on investment for the type of business they were engaged in. The question before them was how much the anticipated earnings were worth presently at this rate. At 15% desired rate, they calculated the present value of the stream of earnings of 14 lakh rupees a year for 10 years plus hours. 50 lakhs they were to receive at the end of 10th year. They found that the present value was 82.62 lakh rupees. You must be wondering how they calculated this figure. The mechanics of calculating the present value of future earnings or cash flows will be explained in Unit -15, BLOCK 4. Till then we ask you to hold your inquisitiveness. However, in accordance with the concept of present value that we have just explained, you will agree with us that the present value of earning of 140 rupees lakhs to be received over a period of 10 years and lump sum of 50 lakh rupees to be received at the end of 10th year, i.e., a total amount of 190 rupees lakhs, must be considerably less than this amount. Under these assumptions, therefore, the owners would not accept an offer of an amount less than say 80 lakh rupees, which is the present value of the business or their equity. However, if the owners feel that Bharti KitchenAids would continue to produce 14 lakh rupees a year indefinitely if it is managed adequately, the present value can be calculated simply by dividing the annual earnings by the desired rate of return. 14 lakhs upon 0.15 lakhs equals 93.33 lakhs. On this basis, the value of owner's business would be 93.33 lakhs. The process of ascertaining the value of business with the help of earnings and a desired rate of return is also known as the capitalization of earnings. It means that if 93 rupees and 33 paise lakhs is paid for infinitely long series of payments of 14 lakh rupees a year, the rate of return on investment will be 15%. 14 lakhs upon 93.33 lakhs equals 15%. 3.6 Uses of balance sheet. The balance sheet is a summary of a firm's assets and liabilities, including share capital and reserves at a defined moment in time. That is why it has been described as a snapshot or still picture of the financial position of a business entity. It is also called the position statement. In addition to profit and loss account, the various groups interested in the company can also draw useful inferences from an analysis of the information contained in the balance sheet. Shareholders usually have twin interests, an interest in receiving a regular income and an interest in the appreciation of their investment in shares. The market worth of their shares depends not only on the dividends they receive but also on the extent of retained earnings which the company has accumulated over the years. The materialization of the shareholders' expectations regarding bonus shares also depends on the retained earnings built up by the company. Investment decisions of the prospective investors and disinvestment decisions of the existing investors are influenced by the composition of assets and liabilities shown in the balance sheet. The main interest of the trade creditors centers on the liquidity position of the company. They would like to make an assessment as to whether the company will be able to meet its obligations when the occasion arises. They are, therefore, concerned about the working capital available with the enterprise and its cash resources. All this information can be gleaned from the balance sheet. The interest of long-term creditors lies in two things. They are interested in the regular servicing of their debts, that is, payment of periodic interest, and repayments of their loans after the expiry of stipulated period. They are interested not only in the profitability of the enterprise but also in its long-term solvency and financial viability. A study of the balance sheet of the company over the past several years can yield a lot of useful information to such long-term investors. Similarly, other interested parties like regulatory and developmental agencies of the government, consumer and welfare organizations can derive useful conclusions from A study of the balance sheet about the working of the corporate sector and its contribution to the national economy. It should be emphasized here that it is not the profit and loss account and the balance sheet in isolation with each other, but both of them in conjunction with each other that can yield a harvest of information for the interested parties or analysts. All this pertains to the broad area of analysis of financial statements, which will be taken up in details in a subsequent unit. 3.7 Summary. Accounting Information System addresses itself to three important business-related problems, namely, scorekeeping, attention directing and problem solving. Accounting information acquires relevance only in the context of an organization. In this context, accounting is closely related to control. Accounting helps in the process of guiding actions of the organization into desired directions. In the process of initiating control actions, it helps the whole gamut of activities involving planning, organizing and controlling. There may not necessarily be an exact correspondence between cash balance and the profit earned during an accounting period. The earnings information is useful for several purposes. It helps in measuring achievement of business and its management. It provides a basis for appropriation decisions and for determining the market value of the firm. It helps to identify the problems currently faced by the enterprise. The balance sheet reflects the financial position of the enterprise. It provides useful information to various users of information who might be interested in the firm. A proper analysis of the information contained in the balance sheet can enable them to draw conclusions which in turn help them in taking decisions. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next video with the next chapter.